Welcome to a look at ChatGPT and how everybody is talking about it right now. It's like everywhere you look, every piece of tech news, every other a post on LinkedIn is talking about this ChatGPT thing. Well, I'm going to tell you now that ChatGPT is a bit more than we think it is. In fact, it's a lot of tech talk. A lot of people are saying a lot of things that make no sense. There's superlatives being given about everything that's happening on to anything to do with AI right now. So if it's not making much sense to you, you've got a bit of relief for you this today. In 10 minutes, we're going to look at how ChatGPT is just a really smart spanner. You know how a spanner, you could use it to get rid of like nuts and bolts and undoing screws and things like that much faster, or you can do them up much faster than doing it with your fingers. Well, ChatGPT is like using a brain to do things like writing and generate ideas, but it does it faster. So it really just makes it just a tool. It's just this really smart spanner. So what we're going to look at in this 10 minutes is generating social media post ideas. We're going to look at generating articles and acting as an expert. So let's get out of this presentation and get on over to ChatGPT, which you can see right now on your screen. What I'll use is the default ChatGPT version of 3.5, which is the free version that you'll be able to get right now. I've got access to version 4, as we'll see here, but that's just for paid subscribers only. And whilst I like to be a bit fancy and have that paid subscriber one, I think most people don't. So number one, we're going to learn how to look at writing ChatGPT generated ideas. So let's pretend for a moment that I'm a physiotherapist. So I'm going to say generate, let's just say 10 social media ideas. If I get my typing right, post ideas. Let's just say specifically for Facebook about physiotherapy and the common ailments that people may, I cannot spell today, ailments, let's get it right, that people may present with at a physiotherapist. Okay, let's see what it gives us. So sure, here's 10 social media post ideas for Facebook about physiotherapy and common ailments. So it's giving you some pretty great ones. Suffering from arthritis or other chronic pain conditions, a physiotherapist can work with you to develop a personalized treatment plan. So already just in about 10 seconds, we've got 10 new ideas for social media posts. Now you say, oh, I don't need 10. I'm actually producing, a few weeks worth. So I'm like, okay, a few weeks worth, like 3 sets, that's 21. So we need another 11. So I can say, give me another 11, and it will do that. So another 11 different ones to do with physiotherapy and common ailments that it's not repeating the same things we've already looked at. It's going into a bit more detail, such as plantar fasciitis, pelvic pain and discomfort, things like neurological conditions, and they're linked through to stroke and traumatic brain injury. Gave us exactly what we were looking for. But what I'm looking at that now is it's seeming a bit formal. So I might want to loosen that up again. So I go regenerate all of these in a friendlier and more casual voice. Casual tone, maybe. Here we go. You're under pressure and all you're doing is making spelling mistakes. So it's regenerating all of them with more of a conversational feel. So they're slightly longer, but they don't feel quite so formalized. They feel a little bit more empathetic, maybe. Are you feeling wobbly or unsteady on your feet? If you've got chronic pain from arthritis, if you're dealing with respiratory conditions like asthma or COPD. So it's actually speaking to the problems that these people have. And it's remembered that I've generated 21 so far. So it's going to be 20. I'm going to say continue, and it will then continue on with the rest of that one and then the 21st one as well. Now look at all that now. I'm going, well, maybe I can make that voice go a little bit better again. So regenerate all without questions and listing let's just say symptoms as dot points. Include hashtags And so we're going to include hashtags in each one of these ones. So each of those 21, there we go, feeling stiff or pain. So it actually hasn't regenerated without the questions. It's actually asking more questions. But what it has done is taken that friendliness, taking that conversational idea and given it hashtags as well. So you're generating hashtags based upon the content of each one of those things. So it's again, going through those 21 different points, 16, 17, 18. As you say, it's a really fast system for making all this stuff happen. I'll go continue to get the rest of the 21. Just when it thinks it's a run out of puff. And then here is number 20 and number 21 as well. So what we've done now is generated a bunch of ideas. I want to take idea 21 and turn this into a longer post with examples and maintain friendly tone. So what you're doing is basically telling it what you think you want it to do, and it takes that language and does something with it. So now it's making a longer thing to do with urinary incontinence, and it's making a longer profile. So you can add this into making a dealing with a bladder. It's almost writing a little blog, really, isn't? But this is just not quite the length of a blog, but it'll be a length of a long social media post. So speaking of that, let's see if we can take that now and generate an article. So I can say, turn this into an article of 700 words using examples, treatment options, related illnesses, and an optimistic look forward to a better life. So I'm actually going to turn this into a blog, essentially. So as it's doing this, here's a longer article dealing with bladder-related issues and actually looking at not just the what was already said, but taking that more into better examples, deeper examples, some examples of what you can do, such as Kegel exercises for reducing urinary incontinence, and also looking at some of the things that are related to it that you may need to see either a physiotherapist or a GP for. And it's giving you things to think about. And saying there's other lifestyle changes, and then saying, you can look forward and see a better way forward in life. So it's just cut off there, bladder related issues, for example, and then it's going overall, if you're struggling with this, talk to your healthcare provider, and it's giving some pretty good advice. Now, naturally, I'm not a physiotherapist, so I would want to make sure that I'm having a physiotherapist look over all this to be fact checked. Now we're generated articles. We've got one more thing we want to do. Remember, it was all about acting as an expert. So whilst I was a physiotherapist, I didn't actually tell it that I am a physiotherapist. I just got it to sort of assume that. So I'm going to say, act as a physiotherapist who also works with myotherapy and let's just say therapeutic massage to treat. This is absolutely horrific writing today. I haven't typed much today, so it's like everything's just going wrong. Therapeutic massage to treat sports injuries. Now, it will actually pick up these spelling mistakes and just work with them. So it's now going to act as that. So we're saying, okay, we're acting as this. This is great. It's understanding what I'm talking about. I'm just making sure it understands what it is. That's great. Okay. Now, based on this, generate a treatment plan for an ACL injury on a rugby player. And this is where things get really scary. So here's a treatment plan for an anterior crucial ligament injury in the knee of a rugby player based upon the different modalities that this person has. So they are a physiotherapist, myotherapist, and also doubling up as a massage therapist as well. So based upon that, it's now generated a treatment plan for them. And I'm going to take this and say, turn this into a 600-word article that gives examples, speaks with authority, and is based upon your 20 years of sports medicine expertise, and experience. So there you go. What it's going to do, as a sports medicine expert with over 20 years of experience, I've seen firsthand the devastating impact of sports injuries. The ACL, so the anterior cruciate ligament, they're going through explaining what it is and saying from an authoritative point of view. This could easily be a blog or a website page that's based around the kind of things that someone who is in sports medicine, works as a myotherapist, massage therapist, a physiotherapist, any of those areas, and be quite an authoritative article. I'm just going to continue to get the rest of that. And there you go. You've got then that done. Now, the problem is, of course, when we work with this, we don't just have the issue of generating something which is new or something which is just usable, but it may actually be a little bit plagiarized from lots of different places around the internet. Now, while copyright does not exist unless it's a new work, and this is a new work, you own the copyright to this. So you have to make sure on your website, you claim that copyright is yours for everything written on your website, just to make sure you're covered. The other thing is too, run it through things like the Grammarly plagiarism checker to make sure it's just, not plagiarizing too much from other sources, and also maybe to perhaps run it through something like Quillbot or Grammarly's paraphraser, just if you want to make it sound a bit more casual, a bit formal, or change the tone and some of the synonyms and some of the words that you probably wouldn't use as a person who's an expert in that area. That's 10 minutes. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for 10 minutes of looking at ChatGPT. Hopefully that's answered a few questions for you, and you've got the ability to go in and try these different things on ChatGPT. Remembering, first of all, make sure you generate ideas rather than generating just whole articles straight away. When you've got those ideas, gradually expand them out into things like articles. Then you get great articles which aren't just robotic, written the same way as every line, one after the other, generating all sorts of repeats and all that. Fact-checked everything. Make sure you do fact-check it, because if you're an expert in that area, you'll know when something is wrong on that screen. And the third thing is to make sure that when you're working with generating, acting as someone, that you make it very clear that the system understands what you're asking it to act as, whether it's an aromatherapist of 20 years experience or a year 5 educator with over 17 years experience, or just get that defined. So it understands what you're wanting to write as, and then you can write as that as much as you like. Thank you. And I hope you have a great one. I'll see you later in the week for another 10 minutes of learning these great tools out